From keeping your operations running smoothly to connecting teams and creating seamless guest experiences, reliable connectivity has never been more important. I'm Chris Fletcher, the host of the Tech and Toast podcast, and welcome you to a special series powered by Sky Business. Enjoy the show. All I heard was fireworks, BMXs, and so I was just like, okay, that sounds better than my strategy meeting.
There's more data touch points, aren't there, than there ever have been before.
And your team is not able to do their job properly because they have to work blind without data.
Using technology and harnessing it so that then you can let them do their jobs.
All roads lead back to data.
And when speed comes into the picture, it's very difficult to manage taste and experience as well.
I can think in my career of hundreds of sites that I worked in or managed that were, had poor connectivity and we were dropping money on the floor.
Because you cannot function without connectivity.
That's why we have to partner with our customers, because it isn't just oh well, thanks ever so much, we'll leave you to have it, we'll come back in a year's time. It's that carrying on that current conversation where we kind of evolve with you.
Welcome to the Tech and Toast podcast, and a very special one today. It's our third part of our series with Sky, and we're here today with Liz from Sky. How are you, Liz?
I'm well, how are you?
Good to meet you. We've met online, but it's our first time in person.
It is.
And you're in the hot seat, which was owned by Joe recently.
So.
Yeah, so welcome, and we'll do a little intro in a minute.
A lot to live up to.
Yes, well, yeah, he's a force to be reckoned with. And Jatin, I've met you before, but how are you?
All good, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you're most welcome. So starting with you, Liz, what do you do at Sky? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I look after strategic accounts. Some of our strategic accounts, we're really fortunate to have a real strong brand presence across High Street, QSR, Stadia, health, you name it, we're in those sectors. And I'm very privileged to partner with some of our most strategic brands, current company included. So, obviously my role is very customer centric. Looking to understand customers, what their business plans are, how we can help them drive things like data on a day-to-day basis, how we can get value from it, and obviously add value to their bottom line.
And what I'm really impressed with about Sky people, you have long service, you guys. You've been at Sky for a while, haven't you?
Over 13 years.
Wow.
I'm obviously younger than I look. So,
For a 21-year-old, that's an early start.
Exactly. Yes.
That's great. No, it's really impressive. And Jatin, last time I saw you was on a stage at MCA, I think, in Ham Yard Hotel. You're much more well-travelled than I saw you. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what you've been up to recently.
So I work for Yum. Yum brands have got KFC, Taco Bell, Habit Burger and Grill, and Pizza Hut. So if you like any of those brands, then I'm your man.
New best friend.
And in terms of what I do, I look after our Byte by Yum software as a service platform. So I'm the Chief Product and Growth Officer for that platform. We are responsible to deliver a SaaS ecosystem for restaurants, which includes digital technologies, web app, smart operations in terms of POS, kitchen management, inventory management, and there are loads of products. So we've created an ecosystem that brings all these technologies together so that a restaurant can run more efficiently and team members can have more time to spend time with customers and deliver a great customer experience.
Wow. And you two have worked together, right? There's a relationship here already,
We
yes.
were just talking, weren't we, about the dinner that we sat, where we sat next to each other.
Yeah, your legendary AGMs that you host.
They
That's
are
one of the
amazing.
best events that we host in the UK every year.
Yeah, they're
All I heard was fireworks, BMXs, and so I was just like, okay, that sounds better than my strategy meeting.
Was that your event, whereas Money Falling?
Yeah, that was Hard Rock. Yeah, Pink Floyd money.
You
But
have
they had
to
to.
experience it, absolutely.
Well, look, and it's fascinating, right? Because I think all roads lead back to data, and this is why we're here today. And I think often we talk about, I think over the last, particularly 3 years, 5 years, or whatever you want to look at, we've talked about the emergence of AI and automation coming and all this other stuff coming, but they've never had so much data in terms of in restaurants and in any vertical in hospitality. But really here, we want to kind of get to the crux of how connectivity is driving that and your experience of that, obviously, when you see that live on site. Starting with you, Liz, what dots have been connected over your career in terms of where you've seen connectivity really leading to data? What are the common threads you've seen across your career?
Yeah, I think data is getting more and more prevalent. There's more data touch points, aren't there, than there ever have been before. So I think, what that means for operators is they've somehow got to harness that data, and it's got to go back to, I think, the 3 C's, which are the bedrock, which is, having good coverage within your restaurant, having the right capacity to handle what you've got, and the final C is the connectivity. So making sure the connectivity is really fit for purpose. And I think as data points grow and as operators want to do more stuff with data and it's got more value, all those 3 touch points, particularly the last one, has to be fundamentally looked at on an ongoing basis. Not just you put it in and you keep it in, you put it in and you relook at it. Because what you were saying about your restaurant evolution, I think there's more and more data as a result going to be needed, and the connectivity is going to be the bedrock for that.
Absolutely. Connectivity has moved from being a commodity like water, electricity, to a data continuity engine. If your restaurant is not connected, then your guest experience suffers, and your team is not able to do their job properly because they have to work blind without data.
Yeah, and obviously through your career, and you've been across other verticals, right? It's not just hospitality, but you were giving me your running order. It was quite interesting. And is the journey changing for data? Obviously, technology is changing, and it's going very quickly. But are you seeing operators use data more? Is it becoming much more of a superpower now than it was even a couple of years ago?
Absolutely. So if I look at, we were talking about it, right? So I worked at TUI, travel company. I worked at Carnival Cruise Company, and now at Yum, a restaurant company. One common thread across all 3 businesses is hospitality.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at QSR business, our business, there are 3 things that are important. One is taste, second is speed, third is experience. Like you have to have the right balance between the 3. And when speed comes into the picture, it's very difficult to manage taste and experience as well. That's where technology comes into play. The moment you got technology come into play, you've got multiple systems. And then if you add on top of that we've got so many channels now, web, app, kiosk, aggregators, there'll be bots as well. That adds complexity in the store.
Yeah.
So you have to manage that complexity, and you have to deliver a great experience. That requires technology, and for technology to function properly, and for your store members to not have a high cognitive load to manage that technology, data is important, because then you can use that data to simplify the store experience, to simplify mundane, repetitive jobs.
So it's exactly that, isn't it? It's using technology and harnessing it so that then you can let them do their jobs more effectively.
Exactly, because that creates the bandwidth for them to smile at the customer, to check how they're doing.
Yes.
Because what's happened is after COVID, yes, we have all become high tech. We want everything on our apps. But at the same time, research shows that humans are craving more for human connection as well. And it's important.
We're so greedy, aren't we? We want everything.
We want absolutely everything. And how do you do that, right?
Yeah.
You can only do that by using tech, so that you can, to your point, we can free up our team members from mundane tasks, repetitive tasks, so that they have time for customers. And when customers come in, they can interact and give a good service.
And I think it's about, isn't it? It's about that seamless customer journey. If we can make it seamless and frictionless, it's hard, isn't it, to do that with the evolving tech stack that you need. But that's the aspiration, and where our partners, our customers want to be. And it's about trying to make it as easy as possible to collect the data, and to your point, as quick as possible to then get the return to start talking to those customers if it's about guest experience. We were talking yesterday actually about the fact that when you go in QSR and in grab and go, it's about snacking data, isn't it? Customers go in and they snack Wi-Fi because they're not going to sit down for a long period of time. Quite often they're going to be, they're focused on something, they're waiting, they want to use the Wi-Fi, they want to get out. And, and to your point, that's kind of what you, in some ways, obviously, speed is important for you.
Yeah, that's fascinating, putting the speed into the mix, actually, because you just don't, obviously you expect it in QSR, right? You understand that it's a quick service restaurant. But when you're looking at operationally, put my operator's hat back on from a few years ago, the speed part is fascinating to be able to do it as well as, think about a full service restaurant, have to deliver everything perfectly all the way through, and the technology needs to embed as well. But in QSR, the challenge is so much more, I suppose, tightened, because you've got that short space of time to impress.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'll give you an example, right? Let's take KFC as an example. At a KFC, it takes 15 minutes to cook a chicken, right? Because it's a fresh chicken. We cannot hold it for long. Depending on what product it is, you can hold it for 15 minutes or 90 minutes. But as a customer, you want it in 2 minutes. That's the challenge, right? Am
I being stupid? Is when I go in I don't go in KFC a lot, Liz, I promise. But when I do go, I feel, when you go to McDonald's, you see everything stocked up, like they've got full rails behind with burgers and everything there. But KFC's not like that, is it? They don't really, because they are very much prepping in a different way. Is that right? The way they deliver?
There are products that are cooked ahead of time based on the forecast.
Yeah.
Because we cannot hold a product for long. You can hold certain product for 10 minutes, certain product for 5 minutes, certain product for 90 minutes within a hot hold. So you have to have a good forecast. For a good forecast, you need to have good data. For good data, you got to know your operations really well, as well as customers really well, and you need to have the context of the store as well. Who's that store serving? What's going on in and around the store? What's the weather like? What do you have on the marketing calendar? All of that has to come together so that you've got the right forecast for every 15 minutes in an hour.
It's fascinating.
Only then you can manage speed. Otherwise, during peak, it can go crazy.
So it goes back to technology, doesn't it? Because technology has to be the enabler, I think, in that conversation.
In your experience at Sky over the last 5 to 10 years, how different, when you're having a conversation around the table with people like Jatin, when you're going to meeting a new customer, has the conversation changed much, or do you still feel like it's something that needs to be surfaced? The conversation of connectivity needs to be as important as labour and food cost?
I think it's becoming more important. I think we, perhaps, if you think back 2 years, even 2 years ago, things were quite different, weren't they? And you think ahead 2 years, it's going to be even more different still. So I think where we were maybe 5-10 years ago, people used to put connectivity in it, and that was it.
So and install and then move on.
We've got a line in. That's it, and that was what they referred to it. Now it's about understanding that's one of your enablers to actually running, as an operator, your business well in hospitality. Because if you've got the right size pipe and the right coverage and the right capacity, then that recipe, forgive the pun, is going to be absolutely it's going to serve you well. And also I think it's interesting, isn't it, because you were talking about Byte, weren't you? And I know that that will probably inevitably create more demand on connectivity. So as a result, we've got to be thinking ahead and got to be that's why we have to partner with our customers, because it isn't just oh, well, thanks ever so much, we'll leave you to have it, we'll come back in a year's time. It's that carrying on that current conversation where we kind of evolve with you on that journey.
You're right. The big shift, as you said, right, is from Wi-Fi, where it was a commodity, and stores were run based on dashboards and gut instinct of store managers about what's happening on the floor or in the kitchen, to best operators now running their stores based on connected intelligence. And the moment you talk about connected intelligence, it's about data. Because you have to bring data from your fryer, from your hot hold, from your sales systems, from your menu. Everything has to come together, and we have to join it with your customers to understand what's working, what's not working. Because nowadays, what we're looking at is, how do you improve the shift immediately? We do not want people to wait for the next day to look at the data and work out what went wrong and how should we have done better. We want our store team members to have the next best action within the shift. We want a culture of continuous improvement in every shift. Only then you're able to serve better every time.
And that's fascinating, because I remember in Carluccio's, when I was there, we used to have a BHR, we used to call it, at the end of the night, called the Business Happening Report. It doesn't make sense, does it? But that was what it was called. But we'd fill that out every night and tell everyone what happened bad that day. And then the next day, someone might read it or might not. And then by the end of the week, maybe it get actioned. And what you're talking about is a total shift from that, where we're going to impact these kids on the floor right now, like in the next 10 minutes, based on data.
And I think that goes to guest Wi-Fi as well, because obviously, real-time API, you can action something now. It's talking about starting that conversation with you now when you're actually in the restaurant. So enabling a little bit of that personalization journey, etc. And it's how cool would it be to say, I can see you here, or GDPR obviously, but you get the drift. It, particularly with your brand. It can kind of you can harness that together, and it becomes a very cool story.
See, guest connectivity is very, very important to your point. The other reason it's become very, very important is that with digital right now, we allow our customers to order on app. So if you're ordering on app, we want you to check in or have the status on the app as well. So that means you have to go to the store and have a look at your phone. Now, in the UK, we know there are lots of areas where mobile connectivity is not great.
That's right.
And if you have placed an order on your app And when you get to a store or when you're near the store, if your mobile connectivity is not working for whatever reason, I mean, we've got so many mobile providers, there could be issues going on or there could be coverage issue. You need Wi-Fi,
Yes,
guest Wi-Fi,
yes.
guest connectivity. So as we were rolling out our app across the UK, and as we started getting more traction on the app, we realized that if we do not have good guest connectivity, that channel is useless.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that will make customer more unhappy
Yes.
Yeah.
when they get to store
Yeah.
and not solve the real problem.
Yes.
So we have focused heavily on guest connectivity as well as connectivity for our team members and systems.
Yes, that's right. And it's also sort of taking it one step further, isn't it? It's about saying, okay, well, maybe on the landing page we put a link to the app that we encourage people. If that is your clear customer channel that you want to encourage people to go to first, let's make sure every eyeball sees that. And therefore, drives them to that, so that you go back to the journey that you want. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. It's actually worse, isn't it? If you have connectivity and it doesn't work out, it ends up being
It's like dangling a carrot in front of someone saying, "Hey, come and get it." Oh, you can't have it. You want you? No, you can't have that. So, and it's and what do you think, Jatin? Is there a really valuable piece of insight from data that you're getting through great connectivity now compared to maybe where you may have struggled in the past? Is there something that's surfaced particularly, like you talk about that immediate reaction to data? Is there something that one particular thing that's really helped?
So I mean, there are lots of use cases, right? I mean, for example, now, I mean, as I was saying, right? I mean, we get data instantly into our cloud as well. Previously we had to wait for end of the day or 15 minutes interval or half an hour or 5-hour interval. So when you start getting your data from fryers, hot holes, all your systems immediately or near real time, you're able to take action on it, or you're able to recommend a next best action. So with everything moving towards AI and agentic AI, with agentic AI, we want to trigger changes in a store within, of course, the right guardrails and with human intervention if needed. You need that connectivity. And that can help you drive performance of a store by easily 10 to 20%. And we've seen that happen.
Wow.
And that's fascinating, because we had a chat yesterday and we were talking how often, people do just install and and we were talking about mid-market, and we had a quick chat about mid-market brands like 20 to 30 sites type thing, where they come in and they install as they go, right? So new site, new install, and they don't. And then after that, it becomes a secondary conversation. And I do wonder if that 10 to 20% is a fascinating number, because I can think in my career of hundreds of sites that I worked in or managed that were, had poor connectivity and we were dropping money on the floor. Is that something you're hearing quite regularly when you're in?
I think you're right. It's, poor connectivity is, it's constantly pain, isn't it, for the operator?
Yes.
Because you think about, you go back a couple of years ago, there was more on-premise technology. Everything's in the cloud now, as you're talking about. So
Or should be.
Or should be, or driving.
I think a lot of some of them are on servers under the desk, but yeah.
Well, maybe we're driving towards that. So it's kind of like it is, that underpins, doesn't it, the connectivity?
Yeah.
And if it isn't looked at, or if it fails, it becomes a big pain point. So, making sure you've got redundant solutions for connectivity that fail over quickly, that get your tech stack from a corporate perspective failed over in the right way, that just means, it should almost mean that the operator kind of doesn't know about it, because it just carries on.
It's about business continuity, right? I mean,
Yes.
because if you look at it, we are placing orders on mobile apps. It could be brand mobile app, your brand's mobile app, or it could be aggregator. Irrespective of which app customer is using, the order is being injected into the store, right? So you need connectivity for that. Second is, when a rider is coming to collect your order or customer is coming to collect your order, they need to know the status of the order.
Yeah.
Again, the status has to go out of the store onto the app of customer or the rider who's collecting their order. So connectivity plays an important role nowadays to run the business.
It does.
And therefore, it is very important that resilience is built in, redundancy is built in, because you cannot function without connectivity.
No, and the impact of going down and not having a resilient solution.
That was what I was going to ask.
awful.
How easy is it for you now to measure on a negative standpoint when you do go down somewhere, because it's going to happen, stuff fails. Is it very obvious now, and is the impact very obvious in terms of what you're losing quite quickly?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can see the impact straight away. Because see, I mean, as I said, I mean, if connectivity is dropped, and if you do not have a backup line or a backup 4G connection or a 5G connection, you can't get digital orders in.
No.
Yeah.
And you lose money. And digital is like now, I mean, depending on the store, it could be 50 to 60% or 30%
Yeah.
of your business. So that's quite big part of your business.
I was just going to ask quickly on the agentic AI you talked about in terms of what kind of triggers have you got a use case you can give an example of where, I mean, the fryers fascinate me. So if a fryer goes down, will you know about that through your...
We do have tech in our fryers
Yeah.
to be able to send us information about what is being cooked and for how long that was in the fryer. So we can work out how many fryers are being used at any time and are they being optimally used or not. We do not have signals from fryer that the fryer is down because I mean that is
So
not
it's more of
required at the
it's
moment.
more of a productivity measure.
But we do get data from the fryers about the products that have been dropped in and the quantity that's been dropped in, because that helps us look at our product availability real time.
Wow, it's fascinating. And to both of you, there's a lot of experimentation with AI at the moment. And do you think the governance and the guardrails, because obviously this, I know what Sky are dealing with the connectivity of all this, but actually it will impact you, right? Or you have to work around it.
Yeah.
Do you think guardrail, do you think everything's in place ready? I know there's no statute around it in the EU. I think, is there in America? Is there some kind of, there's not. It's the Wild West.
Everyone is working through this
Yeah.
issue. At the end of the day, do we need guardrails for AI? Absolutely, yes. I mean, because you need to understand what edge cases there are, and you still miss it.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to work out when something is off the rail. You should be able to pick it up, and you need to be very clear where you would want human intervention. So the way we deal with it is that we involve legal, compliance, operations all together into one team when we're building a new model or we're solving a new problem, so that everything is built, guardrails and a kill switch if needed.
Yeah.
Everything is built into it right from the beginning. I mean, the way I describe this is that, I mean, you can't build a car and add a brake to it. Yeah, you have to build the brake as you're building cars.
Depends. I grew up in Liverpool. You can do.
I think, isn't it? I mean, it's just evolving at such a rate as well, isn't it?
Well, we were talking about this. Let's say how
Yeah.
easy is it to get left behind? And I was talking to Jatin about this as well, saying that actually, in a tech company, you can ship features constantly, right, or go much faster than you ever could before. But the problem is, can the front end keep up? And can the connectivity keep up? Can you? If these people are shipping apps constantly, what goes down first or what breaks? And it is fascinating that, and when you talked about bringing all those people around the table, do the partners get brought around the table, I suppose, in terms of, is that something you would do to engage them to make sure that actually anything you might be doing might influence these guys potentially in Sky?
Yes, I mean, when we are building something, we do bring partners together to assess whether we'll be able to deliver it or not as a full system, end-to-end solution. And that includes connectivity providers as well. So when we started talking about 3-4 years ago, we were having this conversation, right? And the role connectivity is going to play with everything that was happening at the time.
Yes.
And things have moved much faster than ever before. And you can't do everything yourself, right? So you have to have the right partner ecosystem, and you need to have the right unified ecosystem of your own as well that can bring partners in.
Yes.
And when I say that can bring partners in, it's not just from technology, API, data perspective. It's about real partnerships that are investing time in solving problems end to end.
Yeah, and I think from Sky's point of view, I'm guessing that's your dream scenario where the customer wants to really involve you in everything they're building, or not everything they're building, but in that project deep. Is that always the case, or how much work do you have to do to kind of put that on the table?
I think it depends on value, doesn't it? So we need to go back to the what is valuable for the customer and what are they trying to achieve really long term. But if you look at the bedrock KPIs of operators of hospitality, no matter what customer actually, whether you're in stadia or whatever, it's about making sure the customer experience is just seamless, frictionless, and that they can trade. Uptime is key. So all those things are important. I think, it presents itself in different ways. But
Tell us about uptime, sorry, because it's interesting because I hear the phrase a lot. We worked with Dojo previously, a payments company. They talk about 99.999% uptime.
yes.
What does that look like in real life? Is that you're talking about, I suppose, a KFC or a Yum being up for a percentage of time, and then potentially there's some fail time, I suppose? Or?
Well, I think it's a solution, isn't it? It's the whole solution. So if you've got, what happens if a JCB goes through the line, the line, or if it falls over, the solution should still stay up, because you've got that resilient solution that enables you to trade. Whether that's failing over in 30 seconds to 4G or whatever it might be, or another line or some kind of other capacity. It gives you that flexibility and redundancy that we were talking about. I think in terms of other customers, it just depends, really.
Yeah.
You can't, I think even in hospitality, I would say there are many different flavours that we talk to customers about, and it ideally depends what are they trying to do. Are they trying to as well as keep the lights on, are they trying to increase loyalty? As well as keep the lights on, are they trying to grow their database? It really kind of, every conversation can be quite different.
I think it's fascinating. And we had David on from Prezzo, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, and we talked about the passion of the company, what the company wants to do. And sometimes, obviously, you'll have sites that are down or having issues, or, they've got historic problems, maybe based on location or wherever they are. And he talked about sometimes it's just not the company's lead point of view right now to invest in connectivity. From your point of view, Jatin, when you're talking to the board or when you're kind of trying to gain investment to invest in this particular subject, how hard is that to do? Or is the company aligned on the fact that actually they understand the bedrock of all of this sits with the connectivity?
Absolutely. Connectivity is the basic requirement now.
Yeah.
It has to be there. There's no negotiation about it. And
I think just take Jatin with you to every meeting.
and we are clear, right? See, if at the end of the day, if you want to simplify the work that your team does, and if you want to deliver an experience that is digital in nature and what customer is expecting, connectivity has to be there, and it has to be resilient. It has to have redundancy. It has to have the right bandwidth. And as we are investing in agentic AI, agentic models, if you do not have the right connectivity, everything will slow down. The whole store operations are going to slow down. And what we have seen is, if connectivity drops, all hell breaks loose.
Yes, I'd say, and I think it's about as well giving you optionality, isn't it? Because not every restaurant that you operate is the same, is it?
Yes.
Even though the brand's the same and the product's the same, every restaurant isn't the same. So it's about giving you optionality that's important in that. And the other thing I think is that as you grow, as AI, and I don't think we've really seen the enablement yet from AI truly, but given it's growing so fast.
Only in my house where I've been building. No, just me and me. We've been pouring on, haven't we?
Yeah, and in our stores as well.
Of course, you wouldn't expect anything less. But it's almost like I think that we're, I guess in 2 years' time we'll start to see what really will be the art of the possible, and that means, to your point, connectivity has to be even more watched, looked at, invested in, managed. It's really important. Right?
I was going to say, how far do you think you are ahead? I'm interested to think, as in, because we work with a lot of brands, and I can honestly tell you, just from a 10-minute chat with you this morning, that actually they're nowhere near. I think it's on the table, but I think it's further down the road.
So we are investing heavily in this area.
Yeah.
So for example, our Byte by Yum software service platform is built on the foundations of common data structure and data enablement and connected ecosystem, so that we can leverage the data to solve the right problems. And these days, how do you solve the problems? You use AI models, you use agentic AI. So we have invested heavily on AI forecasting. That's delivering results on inventory forecast, labor scheduling, cook forecasting, and we've seen the improvement in that big time. We are also looking to build collective intelligence. So how do you use the data? How can you use the data that you're getting from all the stores of different asset types, different contexts, to help the stores that are not performing as well?
Yeah. So how do you pick out a success model, basically?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly that. How do you create a success model based on your scale that you have?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And if you're able to solve that, all our stores are going to keep performing better and better, and that'll just take the experience to the next level.
And I think it's really hard, isn't it? Because you've got overlaying in that what's available in the area, and that can be sometimes, you've got a really high performing store that's really forward thinking, and yet you are, you're limited by your technology. So we've got to just think a bit out of the box on that. And so it might be like looking at altnets. It might be just thinking, what else have we got in our portfolio that will help you from a connectivity perspective, so that we can give you that optionality across your estate. Because you're everywhere, aren't you? 1,100 restaurants in the UK. So it's going to be, there's going to be some times when we have to just think, oh my goodness, that doesn't kind of fit the model. And we need to work with you to make sure we can deliver. Really,
it is fascinating actually, and the fact that I think what you were talking about a little bit there was the fact that the GM or the person who ran that store used to be the fountain of all knowledge, right? They were the one thing, and if they ever left the company, God help us, right? And then if you were having poor connectivity, everything just steamrolls, right? But I think what's changing is that knowledge is being saved in the company now, and it's remaining through the agentic AI, which is fascinating. And you mentioned GDPR before.
I did.
It's my favourite subject. So I thought I'd just ask a question about it. But for people who are quite nervous about, because there's a lot of data being surfaced, we talked about, and it's your fault. You're creating great connectivity. So there's a lot of data coming through. But if people are nervous about the GDPR part, are nervous about collecting of data or how they might store it, do they have to be? Is it a simple process? Is it something you hold hands with along the journey?
100%. Talk to us.
Right. Okay.
Come and talk to me. It's we give data the reverence it is due. Obviously, it's tremendously important. We hold it in very high regard because obviously, GDPR is very important. But yeah, I think it's, the outcome that operators are looking for is, enabling customers to having that conversation with the customer, isn't it? Getting there is just understanding the mechanics of it and work with us, and we've got a really strong framework that will enable you to be set up on that, really. But because, what we're trying to get to a point is getting customers obviously having that data from a customer who was there at that point in time, so you can start that personalised real-time conversation with them that starts to be meaningful and relevant, which is really key, isn't it? Because then, I think, and that's, again, a journey that I think operators are on in hospitality and across all spheres of technology, industry actually, is that, they tend to be quite product-oriented at the moment in terms of what they, showcase. And, there's some brilliant products. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's almost like, what else can you do in this evolution of data? How else can we start targeting people who've come for the first time, who are only in a day part at a particular, on a particular day?
Well, I love that when you talk about snacking data before, which I don't know if you made up, but I love that phrase. But I'll be stealing it. But Jatin, when they're in store and you only have, do you know what the average time? I mean, I'm not testing you, but do you know what the average how long they dwell for in the store if they're eating out? Is there
it varies. I mean, see, one thing I joke is that our job is to provide seamless experience. Our job is to make sure that customers are not spending a lot of time in finding out what they need and are able to place the order.
Yeah, it should just be natural.
But the irony of that is, if you're able to save customers some time, a minute or two or a few seconds, that time goes in them browsing on Instagram and TikTok, something else using our connectivity. So that's what we see. And in terms of dwell time, there is a correlation between dwell time and amount they spend and how frequently they visit. There are stats that we do monitor, and those correlations are very useful for store managers to work out what's working, what's not working. How long did people spend in the store when there was a X promotion going on versus when there was no promotion going on. So those insights are key in planning out what works and what doesn't.
And you know what? You can take the landing page that obviously is, that's with the eyeball on the screen.
It's like a splash page.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Take that splash page, and you can start to promote your, so it might be by time of day. It might be, so for instance, you can start to do that. So if you've got a promotion running, let the Wi-Fi channel represent that, be that digital channel as well, and represent that promotion. And, click here too, so that it really aligns with what you want to do.
Yeah, guest connectivity, acts as an acquisition channel as well as a retention channel.
Yes.
And it drives a better experience for sure. There are three purposes. And talking about the consent, right, that you were referring to with GDPR, what I tell people is bad consent kills kills good data, and a good consent builds long-term customer relationships.
I should tell my marketing people that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and it's true.
I should get royalty
isn't
for
it?
that.
That's great. It's like the 3 C's. They're the two
Yeah.
things
It
I'm taking.
is,
That's very cool.
exactly. It is, but I think that's absolutely right, and I think that pre-GDPR, it was global consent, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you just kind of got everything, and it didn't matter everything. But obviously now it's much more targeted. But the opportunity from that is it's much more meaningful, and therefore you actually can start a really relevant good data conversation with somebody.
Yeah, and then see, the other thing I'd say is that when you see consent on any channel, you build trust as well, because then you know that they're doing something right, and you're clear about the value exchange. So those consents or GDPR, they're not constraints; they have become trust engines in a way.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, the value exchange is obviously a great bit of terminology that I think has been misread from the supplier side for a long time. The consumers lost out, I think, for a long time. But I do think recently, or last year or so, people are starting to, there is more value for giving my data. I think previously we just signed up for everything, right? I don't know if it's the same in the States or if it's treated similarly. I don't know. They don't have a GDPR, do they?
They have something similar.
Right, they do. Okay.
Right.
Right, fascinating. Look, I mean, you two are too interesting. I'm going to run out of time. Right, so if an operator listening could do only one thing differently tomorrow to start using their connectivity data better, what would it be?
Oof.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
I think if they only had to do one thing, I think
Call you.
sit down and chat to us. Yeah, because I think connectivity is key. We've talked about that. Everyone agrees that. I don't think that's being contested at all. But just want to make sure we've got that back end stuff right as well, because all the investment that you're doing in the back end stuff, or how that's coming out. We just need to make sure that is a frictionless journey all the way through, and every operator can be a little bit different. So it's important we've got the right solution. There isn't one solution that fits all. There's a solution that we can tweak and we can change and we can add and we can moderate, and it is an evolving journey, I think, really.
No, it's fascinating. I think I saw some plans of one of your customers. I was at Sky the other day, and then Joe showed me a plan. They showed me a customer, and it was fascinating what Sky were doing to unlock some of their presence around their estate. I thought it was remarkable.
We've got some amazing. I think what's really fascinating about Wi-Fi is that we've got obviously QSR, like brands like yourself, where people snack Wi-Fi, and then we've got the total other end of the spectrum, where we've got cricket grounds, we've got race courses, where we've got obviously hopefully other stadia coming along very soon that are actually, you will spend maybe 8 hours there. So what does that journey like? How can we really encourage you to spend more, stay longer? It's that, isn't it? Which is a little bit different. You don't want people staying longer, do you? You kind of want them to maximize the time but return.
As long as they're having a nice time,
Yes.
they can be.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. People that's terrible.
But
Kicking them out the door.
To your point, right? When there's a big sporting event going on, people rely on connectivity.
They do.
To watch those events on their
100%.
phones or tablets.
100%. I think it's really important, and that becomes a single network for everybody. It's like everything. You plug it all in, and it works. Yeah,
it's fascinating. And what about, where's it going in the next few years, Jatin? Do you think data-driven guest experience? If I want to give it that label, where are we heading with the next few years?
I'd say we are moving from age of dashboards to age of agentic workflow for specific business outcomes.
Can you explain that a little bit more? So for the non-AI techies.
So previously I was saying, right, people used to look at the reports to act on it the next day or the next week. Now we are able to act on information that we're receiving there and then. Of course, we're required with human intervention. For example, if something is not working in a store, we can let the store manager know that go and look at this particular station, the team member needs help. Or if a pricing change needs to happen for any reason, it can happen much more quickly or instantly, whereas earlier we had to wait for hours or days to make that change. So things are changing and things are becoming automated and more agentic, i.e. AI can interpret what's happening and suggest an action. So that's a big thing. And in order to make all of that possible, operators have to invest in unified ecosystems. They have to move away from buying point solutions. I want POS from somewhere, which is a display system from somewhere else. They have to invest in unified ecosystems and connectivity.
Yes.
Because those two together are going to help automate the processes that you have in store. They're going to help reduce cognitive load that team members have. And ultimately, that effort that they were spending on doing mundane tasks is going to go in making the customer experience better,
Right.
which is going to help everyone.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, look, it's been lovely to meet you both properly. I mean, I've met you both in different ways. But if people want to get hold of you, Liz, and kind of have a chat further to you about what you've been chatting about today, the 3 Cs in particular,
Yeah.
how do they get hold of you?
Thank you. Yeah, I'll market that.
It's not a Sky thing, is it a Liz thing?
I guess so.
Yeah, that's good. I would keep it.
Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Obviously, there's obviously the feedback and marketplace, isn't there? As
Yes.
well? So yeah, whatever works. Yeah, I would love to chat. Yeah, there's always more to do.
And when you're not on a plane, my friend, when's the next trip? Are you back off to Dallas next week, or?
Yes, it looks like it. Back to Dallas, and then I'm going to India for a couple of weeks as well. So that's going to be nice.
Is that holiday or is that?
No, India is. I'm going to spend time with the family, with my parents there.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
lovely.
nice. That's nice. Well, look, don't bother him. You can message. You can message him on LinkedIn if you want. I'm sure he'll say hello. But look, that was great, everyone. That was one of our special series at Sky, and we shall see you all next week. Thanks very much.